Welcome to Moto State Podcast, where we talk about motorcycles, life, and everything in between. Just a bunch of shitty days in a row and you have a good day and you don't acknowledge it. You're just like, oh, you find something else to complain about. No, that's not it. It was a good day. It was a good day today. So,
Chris, I'm swapping text messages with Chris. He's like, I'm going to look up and see what kind of oil Legends recommends. And I sent him a little meme or something with this old Soul Glow from Coming to America.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
His reply was solid. He goes, damn, I was going to go with the P. Diddy drop oil.
Well, that's because we mentioned it, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's
solid.
Really funny.
Solid.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So for folks that just I doubt anybody would really know, but so Tucker Speed threw something up. What was it, Friday?
Yeah.
There was no backstory, but the gist of it was there were some scammers trying to buy some product and scam the product off of them. And so they had front and rear Legends suspension for a bagger that they ran. I think the front suspension, the cartridges, 20% off, rear shocks, which are I think were the remote reservoir shocks, for 12% off. So I have not done anything with my front suspension and impulsively bought those cartridges. Thank you, Tucker Speed, for a great deal. Thank you to Ryan and Bob for being so supportive and spending my money when I was hoping they might talk me out of it. Oh well.
The text message was, Luke was like, what do y'all think of front suspension? And I was like, do it. There was like not
Legends,
oh, what are you looking at? I was like, do it.
XO, 20% off. Do it.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
That's not what I was looking for. But
yeah, I'm not talking anybody out of spending money on cool bike parts. That's not going to happen. If you'd have been like, hey, what do you think about this front suspension I found on Amazon? I'd be like,
Listen, if I came to you, I don't know if y'all saw the post on Instagram. If I came to you with those things you stick on your saddlebags for downforce,
the spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect you to fly here and kick my ass because that was maybe one of the funniest things I've read in a long time.
Now, did you see the spoiler that somebody came out with a spoiler that goes on the back of a touring bike on the touring pack?
Yeah,
I saw that recently too.
Bless. Yeah,
I'm like,
well, that's what this guy was going to do. He said he's going to add one to his tour pack for extra downforce.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I complain about Facebook, like showing things that I don't follow, that people I'm not friends with, or groups that I'm not a member of, I'm really thankful that they showed that one because the comments on that were gold. I mean, gold. It was awesome.
Right.
So,
and this is what I'm just curious about this because I know from being a passenger, and I know from my wife being a passenger. Let's just say you put one of those spoilers on the back of your motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you put it on the back of your CVO. You've got your whole front, batwing fairing.
Mm-hmm.
Then after the batwing fairing is your whole body.
Mm-hmm.
How much wind do you think is hitting the back of that tour pack to create any type of downforce that's going to do anything for how your bike handles?
Listen, this is real simple. You're being way too fucking logical about this. All right. I blacked out the guy's name out of respect. That guy's a fucking idiot. All right. Like you're thinking way too much into this. You're actually using common sense. I mean,
the only reason why I say that is that I've been on my bike on a day when it's been fairly cool and I've had, like warmer clothes on. Mm-hmm. And my wife sitting behind me has like this little light jacket on. And I'm like, aren't you cool back there? She's like, nah, I'm fine. Cause I'm blocking all the fucking wind. Like
Yeah.
between the fairing and me, she's not feeling a damn thing behind me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are your hands getting cold? No. And I just feel them tucked in behind my back. You know what I mean? So she's not cold at all. She's not getting hit with a bit of wind.
No.
And if she
Absolutely
does,
not.
then she just snuggles up a little bit, and then she's not catching any wind at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. So,
But if she wasn't on there, maybe you need some spoilers. And
yeah, man,
shit.
I'm gonna go straight out and buy those fuckers right now and put them on my bike because that's everything.
Man,
that's
if
the
I-
last thing my bike needed was
Listen,
spoilers to
I'm gonna
create
tell you
some more
right now, if I
downforce.
can find some cheap ones on Amazon, I'm buying them for you. I'm gonna mail them to you. I'm gonna put some Moto State decals on them. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm absolutely not.
Waste of stickers, for fuck's sake.
What little reputation we have. I don't want to piss that thing down the toilet. Good God. Oh my Lord. Oh man. Well, speaking of, riding and needing downforce or not, Jesus. It kind of comes to our topic today of planning your motorcycle trip. For folks that are taking trips, maybe it's a weekend trip, maybe it's a week-long trip, whatever it is. Maybe it's 100 miles, maybe it's 6,000 miles. I don't know. But there's got to be some kind of planning. And even if it's a day trip, you got a plan of some sort, right? Like, even if you're going to be back sleeping in your own bed that night, you got to plan, you got to do some planning. And so today we're going to talk about, what we do to plan for trips. Ryan and I both enjoy longer distance riding. So we'll talk a little bit through that and maybe share some stories of, and maybe that's what we'll start with, talking about maybe a quick story of when we've planned well, or more importantly, when we haven't planned well and what we learned from it. And we'll kind of take a deeper dive into that.
And for those of you that haven't listened, you should probably check out last week's podcast with Ashley, titled "Winter Blues." She actually suggests planning a motorcycle trip during the winter if you're in a place where you can't ride, as a means to do something to help kind of pick up your spirits. So that's also kind of a good connection to this week's topic. Is Ashley kind of brought that up a little bit last week. So
and if you have listened, you'll get this. If you yet to listen to the previous one, you will get this when you listen to it. At no point in the episode did Ashley recommend eating at White Castle, Crystal, or Taco Bell. So
true enough.
You'll understand that if you haven't watched that episode yet.
She didn't recommend it, but she did say some 3 a.m. Taco Bell that hits.
It hits the back of the toilet is what it hits. God, it's disgusting. What did someone call it in the Discord today? Toxic hell, not Taco Bell. It's like
something like that. Yeah,
beautiful. So Ryan, tell me, you'd pick. Give me a quick story of time you planned well or didn't plan well, and maybe more of if you planned well, what was maybe the first trip you felt like you planned well, what was the difference maker? And then if it's you didn't plan well, what was the biggest thing you forgot or wish you'd done different, or biggest takeaway from that?
Yeah, I think so. One of the things, honestly, like I'll go all the way back to like 2019 when I went to, it was kind of my first long multi-state, camping, kind of the whole thing. It was when I went to the Midwest Motorcycle Meetup in 2019, which was kind of the precursor to FTBM. For those of you that follow, that followed, or went along or went to any of those meetups. The Midwest Moto Meetup was the very first one, is kind of what we called it. That was probably my first trip that I would say I was very successful in planning, because I had done all of the preparatory things in terms of making sure I had everything with me that I needed. I planned appropriately for the time of year, so I knew kind of what the weather was going to be like where I was at, and what the weather was going to be like where I was going, so that I had the right clothes to wear, right?
Sure.
I think the biggest thing is when I go on a multi-day trip, is I like to check ahead, right? So if it's going to be 30 when I leave where I'm at, and this has happened to me before, and it's going to be 90 all the time that I'm where I'm at, I need to plan accordingly in terms of what I know I'm going to need to have for clothes. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah.
And what that looks like. So I might sacrifice some, maybe not pack as many t-shirts or as many jeans if I know that on my way home, I'm like on one of my trips on my way home, I wore my heated gear for the last day home, full day and like day and a half almost home, because I left a place that was 70, and when I got halfway and got up the next morning, it was 28. Or it was going to be 28 basically. It was
Jeez.
colder than that when I left in the morning, but it was 28 all the way home. So I rode about 350, 400 miles in 28-degree weather. And I had full heated gear, gloves, jacket, pants, had thick socks. I mean, I had everything I needed. Had a neck gaiter, everything I needed to stay warm.
Wow.
And I had one of those, I don't know, balaclavas or whatever you call them that you put over your head, and then you can pull it up to kind of cover your nose and everything.
Gotcha. Sure.
I had the whole thing. I had everything worked out so that for me, I knew I was going to stay warm, because even like when it's that cold, um, really what you want to do is make sure, like, even on your neck or your face, you don't want any exposed skin that's going to be affected by wind chill. And so my heated jacket zips all the way up to my neck, but if I don't have something that goes from my head and covers my neck down to my chest, then I'm going to have exposed skin there. And
So that was one of your successes in being well planning for the trip.
being well prepared. Yep. I had
Or well
everything
prepared,
I
excuse me.
needed for all of the like the weather conditions,
Mhm.
right? And so that, and I think that planning out um the clothes that you're going to wear and or bring. I mean, I think that that's an important part of that process to think through. And what can you wear for multiple days? What are you going to only wear once? You know what I mean?
So, guys, in case you need, some people listening or watching need to know, underwear is something you can only wear twice. You wear it the right way and wear it and flip it inside out and wear it again. That's it. That's it.
Hmm.
Just throwing that out there.
I'm
Hide,
not a
hide,
2 day. I'm not a 2 day pair.
I'm
I'm
not
a
either,
1
but
day.
worst case, you get in a pinch. No pun
Dude, if
intended.
you're on the road, worst case, go to fucking Walmart and pick up a pack of $6.99
Yeah.
underwear and throw
Yeah.
those fuckers away when you're done with them.
Yep.
Wear them for a day and throw them away. I mean, if you're in a pinch, that's what you do.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
All right. So well planned clothing was a big part of that.
yeah, that for me, that's like top of the list. That's like
Mhm.
top of the food chain for me, is planning clothing and weather.
I tend to pack, whether it's a motorcycle trip or just going away for the weekend or vacation for a week or however long. I pack too many t-shirts. And what I have gotten into that, while we're talking about packing, I have gotten into a really good habit on motorcycle trips is packing not enough t-shirts, because you know what? I'm going to buy one. I guarantee I'm going to buy one, especially if I'm going to homecoming, TMMR, Smoky Mountain Bike Week. Hell, I walked away with 3 new t-shirts. I
Right.
packed 2 t-shirts. I was like, you know what? Whatever. Because here's how I look at it. I'd rather have an extra pair of pants that I never wore
Right.
than, because I can always go buy, you can buy a t-shirt that fits you good enough.
Yep.
Finding jeans that fit you right can be a pain in the ass.
Yep.
So bring what's comfortable from the waist down. You can always find a damn t-shirt, hoodie, whatever, like you said, at Walmart. So I've gotten into a good habit with that, and that's really helped how much room I have, when I'm trying to pack light or making what room I have count. Is a big thing.
And learning how to pack, right? I mean, you can ask
sure.
any of the friends that have ridden with me. I'm a notorious overpacker, but I'm really packing for weather conditions, because my biggest pet peeve about riding is being cold. I mean, there are many days when I'm riding with guys and they're wearing t-shirts and I'm wearing a sweatshirt or some type of long sleeve. In fact, for the most part now, I have given up riding in a t-shirt. I almost always have some type of long sleeves on. I am just not really interested in getting to, be 70 years old
Sure.
and my skin looking like leather, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I also paid, for very expensive good artwork on my body, and I don't really want the sun to bleach it all out into nothing. So,
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with that. I've got more UV long sleeve shirts
yep.
nowadays.
And really
Or
those
SPF, whatever.
yeah, those UV shirts also are great when it's hot. They actually keep you cooler than having your skin exposed. Because the other thing I learned with those UV shirts is that if, say, you're riding and it's 90 some degrees and you're wearing these UV shirts, when you
Mhm.
stop and get gas, go into the bathroom and take that fucking shirt off and soak it in the water.
Yeah.
Soak it in the sink and put it back on. You want to get cool off quick? That's how you get, because it's just like an air conditioner.
Well, there's a lot of people that say, I think Jess Kate and some other people on Instagram say, do that, and your bandana, put it around your neck or whatever,
Absolutely.
and then put a light jacket over it.
Yep.
They recommend that.
Yep.
So, because it'll keep the moisture in longer.
Yep.
So something to think about. Yeah, for me, I think that the trip, my my awesome epic trip that I planned for last March that only lasted like 3 days, was definitely the best planned trip I've ever had. I had so many stops I wanted to make, or points I wanted to hit, and it got to the point where and because of the route I wanted to take, I had to like have certain points on the map to hit so I could stay on route. So I can tell you for my research is, using good old MapQuest allows you like 30 different points in a on a trip that you can plan, where Google allows like 12 or 14, and Apple only allows maybe even less than that. So I got the old map. I have a MapQuest app now. I feel like I should be printing it out when I use it, because that's what I did in the 90s and early 2000s back in the day.
I didn't even know that existed. So there you go.
Yeah. So MapQuest is out there, and that, from what I can tell, has the most, at least a year ago, had the most plottable points. Okay. Well said. Thank you. That I could find. So,
okay.
So for me, I think it was really, it was not just, and I think for me, it was also nice that I had time on this trip to make multiple stops or hit reference points. So instead of like, oh man, I want to get here and get here and then get here, and I got to be back by this day. It was, I got a little time. So I want to stop at Mickey Mantle's childhood home, and I want to see where he played high school and see the statue at his old high school. And I wanted to stop at the 4 Sixes Ranch that I'd seen on Yellowstone and get a picture. And so it was really planning out some cool things to see, and had a couple other spots picked out even in those first couple of days before the trip got interrupted. But unfortunately, Mother Nature decided to push a tornado through on that Friday, and I didn't get on the road till, instead of Friday night, I got on the road early Saturday morning. But for me, that not only like to the point of like what Ashley made last week, planning the trip, but like, oh man, I've always wanted to see that, even if it is for 5 or 10 minutes. Being able to check off some of those things that you wanted to see or check out over the years, added even more excitement to a trip. And that was a lot of fun. That was definitely the best planned trip. For me, I'm so used to traveling like for work. I mean, if you said, hey, Luke, if someone called around, hey, can you be in wherever? Can you be in Dallas tomorrow at noon? Sure, I could go pack and be ready in 10 minutes. No problem. Motorcycle trip's a lot different, right? So, and for me, I was super proud of that trip because of the planning. I'd never camped before on my bike. So I felt like I was really prepared with that, with food, and you were a lot of help with that and things to think about how to prepare food and pack very little. It turned out really well. So There's no way, especially with camping involved, that if I had tried to rush through that planning, that it'd have gone well. It'd have been a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
I'd ended up in a damn Motel 6 somewhere probably or something.
Right.
So
Well, and you know what? I think that's something to keep in mind too. It's not there's no shame in throwing in the towel and saying, "Hey, I fucked up and I gotta stay in a night in a hotel or something," you
sure.
know.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing that kind of right along line with packing. So take something away from every trip as a like an opportunity to learn. One of the things I've started doing recently is so I have inserts that go into my saddlebags, right? So and that way I can open up the saddlebag, you take the insert out, you carry it into your room, your hotel
Hmm.
room, or your tent or whatever you want to do if you're camping, and that's where your stuff is. Now I have an insert that goes into each bag. One of the things I do is as I'm going through my trip, I start to transfer until I have a clean bag and a dirty bag so that I don't have clean clothes and dirty clothes mixed in with everything. Some people maybe don't care about that kind of shit, but I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit particular about that kind of shit. I don't want my dirty underwear hanging out with my clean shirts. You know what I mean? So I try to do that too, where I'm constantly shifting the clean and dirty clothes so that they're kind of staying together. Um, that's one of the things I do. I always try to pack I pack one extra pair of underwear and one extra pair of socks because
Hmm.
you just never know, about that kind of stuff. I mean, you never know. At my age, a fart can have a chaser. So, I mean, you gotta, you know,
Especially all that damn Taco Bell you're
that's
eating.
right.
So
That's right. No, and I think so if that's kind of what we do for packing, the next level is, and it depends on the kind of bike that you ride. It depends on like where you're going, how long you're going to be gone. Do you carry a toolkit with you?
mhm, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, on my Street Glide, it's a pretty minimal kit. It's a newer
Yep.
bike, so
Yep. Yep.
I have a lot more confidence in, even though my FXR has been completely rebuilt. It's still a 26-year-old motorcycle.
Yep.
So that toolkit's much more extensive. But I do carry tire patch kit, some basic tools. Like on that trip last year, because it was going to be almost 10 days, 9 or 10 days. I carried. I knew I was going to be some places where I could plug the bike in and let the battery charge. I bought a Tinder.
Yeah.
I brought a small one Tinder with me. Um, even the first night I charged it only because I was going to be several nights before I could charge it again. So it can't hurt. Takes up just a small amount of room. So why not? Trying to think what else. Tire patch. I have a really small first aid kit. It's probably not good enough, but I do have a small one. I do have a tire pump, Lexan tire pump, because I knew I'd be in some fluctuating temperatures on a few nights, and I think that's about it from maintenance.
Lucky you got that. They went out of business.
Yeah, they gone.
Yeah, they
They
gone.
gone.
So,
Yeah.
for those of you that are looking, there's a company out there called Airmoto, same kind of system, and I have one of those. They're
Mhm.
very affordable, and that's another good option for a portable tire pump. A lot of them now will be you can use it as a backup phone charger.
Mhm.
Mine has a light on it, and if you're gonna have a patch kit in your your toolkit, you should have a tire pump. The other
Yep.
thing I would suggest is, I'm not a big proponent for um, Amazon, but I will tell you this: there's a kit on Amazon that's worth every penny. That is a great kit to buy for your Harley, and they're called Cruise Tools, CRUZ. You can put in their Cruise Tools M8 Harley, and it'll give you it actually has the kits custom designed for a bagger or softail. And they also have a Cruise Tools multi-tool, which I also purchased. So I have the
Mm.
bag and the multi-tool, and then I have my air pump and my tire kit. Um, those are the things. Now, I don't carry oil or anything like that. So I mean, if I blew a seal, I'm fucked. I'm just going to sit on the side of the road and call for help, right?
Sure.
But for the most part, and these tools, for the the biggest thing that I would say, especially if you ride a newer motorcycle, is making sure shit is tight, right?
Sure.
So you're going to
Yeah.
want to check that. And let's just say that I'm going to use one of our Discord members, Discord members, Mike Oxlong. He, yeah,
Such a great one.
it's a great name, right? He bought his kind of dream bike, and I'm fairly certain that it's a CVO Road King. I don't remember what year it is, but it's got a twin cam in it. So that bike's going to vibrate significantly.
Sure.
He's going to want to make sure he's got a toolkit in there because shit's going to get loose on his bike.
Yeah, you say that. I actually, I also pack. I pack a little bit of a small bottle of Loctite.
Blue.
I
You should just
drop in
pack the blue.
Yep.
Yep.
Just in case.
Don't pack the red, just pack the blue, just in
Yep.
case it's something that you need to take off after that. But
Yep.
yeah, it's important that you have those things available. Like lots of people put baling wire, electrician's tape, that kind of stuff. There's a variety of things, but I think, if you're going to go on a long distance trip, you should have some type of toolkit. Now, between myself and Bob, who I ride with most of the time, or at least most of the time last year, proud of that, Nick and Kenny, but most of my friends have some type of toolkit, but between Bob and I, we could pretty much do anything we needed to do on the side of a road because we have plenty of tools between the two of us. So that's kind of the thing. And I would also caution people, if you have a newer bike, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do your normal checks, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
So, do that. I know Luke, if he gets some sort of warning light on his bike, he can't ride it anymore. So
yeah, I about traded that in. Said fuck it. These extra lights on the dash. This is bullshit.
Right. So, but I mean, to his point, I think the biggest thing is that if you're going to go on a long trip, check your tire pressure. You should just check your tire pressure right, before you go. Make sure your tire pressure is where it needs to be. If you know that, say you're going to go on a 4,000 or 5,000 mile trip, change your oil before your trip.
Mm-hmm.
Do something,
or have a plan of where you're going to get it changed,
or have a plan of where you're going to get it changed, or have a plan that you can figure that into your stop, one of your places. Yep. Maybe you're at a campground. You could just go to a dealership or a small shop somewhere and buy some oil and change it in the campground.
Yep.
Have a opportunity to do that. So,
one item I forgot to mention: headlamp. Man, those camping, hiking headlamps, man, those, if you're having to listen, I mean, work on your bike. If you got to set up, if you're camping and you get in late and it's getting dark, man, those things can be used a lot. Or by the time you get in, get everything set up, if you're camping or leaving early in the morning, packing down your bike, whatever the case is, those things are really damn handy. So,
hey, those things are good, even if you're not camping, even if you're going to stop somewhere and go in. Sometimes it's good. You take your helmet off and you're trying to dig through your bags and get all your shit out and that kind of stuff. Sometimes that's good. So, besides the toolkit, I always have rain gear with me.
Yeah, rain gear. And I actually, one other thing, I always carry an extra battery for my key fob.
Oh, I never thought about that. I usually change mine once a season.
I do too, but I carry an extra one in the bag just in case. You just never know. So,
sure.
But yeah, rain gear. I've always got rain gear on in there. But so I mean, that goes back to planning for weather, right? Like, so you're checking the forecast and you're doing all that. You need warm clothes. You need cooler clothes. Warm weather clothes, cold weather clothes. Whether there's rain expected or not, you better pack that rain gear. It's less likely to rain if you pack it. That's scientifically proven. I'm not sure by who, but it is. Trust me. So I think that's a big thing. Trying to think, I made some notes here. So, when you're planning your routes, let's go back to planning routes. What do you have a thought process around that?
So yeah, I have a couple different. So if you're riding someplace that you're familiar, here's okay. I'm going to back up before we get
Mhm.
to the route planning. The first thing I would tell you is that unless you're taking a motorcycle trip to that the only reason for the trip is the destination, then the destination it is. But you should think about the trip as a whole as being part of the adventure. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that way you give yourself some time and opportunity to quote unquote stop and smell the roses. That's don't just drive by life. You know what I mean? If you see something cool, stop and check it out. You see a historical marker, whatever it is, you're like, oh, you're driving and you see this, scenic byway. Take the fucking scenic byway. Sometimes the best adventures are the ones that are unplanned. And so kind of the way it goes for us is that we will plan a trip after we get someplace that we're unfamiliar with.
Okay.
So
So
like
get
if
there and then the venture out from there.
no, not necessarily. So for us it's more like once we get out of our familiar areas so that because we pretty much know where all the gas stations are within 400 or 500 miles because we have to go. There's only 3 ways out of North Dakota.
Okay.
And we go that way every time. So we know where all the gas stations are in the first 400 miles
Okay.
because we always stop there. Right.
Sure.
So we're really not planning that first 400 miles because we know where all those gas stations are. But after that is what we would do. So as an example, right now, we're planning a trip out to Colorado, Utah, out west this summer.
Mhm.
And so Bob is sending routes. And so he sends me this route from South Dakota to an Airbnb that we plan on staying at in Colorado. And I said to him, okay, that looks great. There's 3 different routes we can take to get to this Airbnb, all about the same mileage, right? It's about a
Mhm.
10 hour a day on the bike. And I said, this route through Wyoming looks really cool, but Wyoming's going to have less gas stations than North Dakota. So let's make sure. And he's like, yep, I haven't zoomed in to see where the gas stations are.
Gotcha. Sure.
Because for us, the way that we ride is that, and I'm not criticizing, I'm simply making a statement of how we ride. We're at that 100 to 125 mile mark where we're going to stop for gas. Do we need to? No. We all ride baggers with 6-gallon tanks. But we do that because I have a much better chance of riding a 700 mile or an 800 mile day if I'm stopping and getting off my bike every 125 miles.
Okay.
Is that the most efficient way to travel? Not for a lot of people, but it is for me because I don't need long off the bike. 10, 15 minutes, take a leak and stretch, and I'm ready to go again.
Sure.
And that's, it's also a little different. If I'm traveling solo, I have very often time lengthened that out to 150 or 175 miles. But that's when I'm traveling solo and I have a lot more control over everything. You know what I mean? The speed that I'm going, the traffic that I'm going, the route that I'm taking, everything I'm in control over, so that if I'm in a groove and I'm feeling good, I maybe don't want to stop. Maybe I just want to fucking keep going.
Yeah.
I find that days when it's super, super hot, I'm more likely to want to stop than if it's a day that it's a good average temperature and I'm very comfortable. That tends to be the biggest thing when you're hot and I'm a helmet wearer all the time. You just get really fucking overheated, and I always try to make sure that I'm drinking enough water and that I'm keeping myself as cool as possible.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, the extreme weathers, whether it's really cold or really hot, I feel like people are going to be more prone to stop more often, right? Either to cool off, warm up.
Yep.
For me, when it's cold out, the change in temperature, go inside and come back out. You go in the gas station, go to the bathroom, or come back out. That change in temperature. Actually, I end up having to use the bathroom more, where
Yeah.
when it's hot outside, then it makes me drink more water.
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing when you got
Yep.
those warm days.
You're
So,
gonna, yeah. The first thing I would tell people too, you're gonna learn a lot about yourself and your body and how your body works when you start to get out and get on the road and travel because you're
sure.
out in the elements. Um, I know, and you can ask all my friends, I have the most difficult time regulating my body temperature when I get cold. I don't like to be cold. I get cold very easily. I mean, I can get cold on a 70-degree day when it's cloudy without any trouble.
It's
And
crazy.
so I almost always have a sweatshirt, like a hoodie, in my bike all year round. I almost always have a hoodie.
Okay.
Um, and that's just a fact because it could be an 80-degree day and the sun goes down and it's cool out, and some people are just fine. I'll throw that hoodie on and wear my vest and my hoodie. Um,
Okay.
I just am not a um I just, like I said, I have the hardest time regulating my body temperature when I'm cold. So for me, that's really a big thing to always make sure. I even usually have a couple different pairs of gloves, like a gauntlet
Hmm.
pair that I'll wear
Sure.
with longer sleeves, or when it's cool to try to make sure that wind isn't blowing up my shirt sleeves.
Yep.
And all of this there might be some of you guys listening out there and being like, this guy is a fucking, what is his problem? Like, toughen up. Um, for me, I really, really, when I'm on my motorcycle, I want to enjoy the time on my bike. And I'm not in any dick measuring contest with anybody. If I'm
Sure.
not, I'm going to bring the right amount of clothes to be warm, the right amount of clothes to be cool. I don't give a shit what somebody thinks about what that looks like or what they think about it. That's part of the beauty for me of what I love about motorcycling, is that it's not about anybody but me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I'm the same way when it comes to gloves. I have like a couple of different pairs of peripheral apparel for warmer weather. So I've got like their bicycle gloves. They're super
Mm-hmm.
thin. More than anything, it's a little bit of grip and keep the sun off my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got the other ones that the yellow and pink, get off your phone
Yeah, yeah.
ones, which I love. I've just worn out my first pair, got another one. Keep a pair in each motorcycle. I love them. So then I've got some obviously cold weather leather gloves that are much warmer. Um, yeah, I mean, I think, look, especially if you're on a solo ride, it's your ride. It's your
Mm-hmm.
time. It's your bike.
Yep.
Do whatever you want with it. I think that's what it really comes down to. Uh, I think that,
If you're not on a solo ride, this is the other thing I would say. Make sure you're with a group of guys that you like, that you really jive with, that are really on your same wavelength or whatever. Because I will tell you, we have gone. Okay. I stop and piss at every single gas station. Every time we stop, I always piss. Sometimes if we're there for 20 minutes or longer, I might piss before I get right back on the bike again. Just because, again, it's about knowing how my body works. I promise you, this has happened to us more than once where we've done that. We've stopped at a gas station. I've pissed. We've done whatever. 15, 20 minutes down the road, I got to piss again.
yeah,
The temperature, the change in the bike, the positioning, whatever it is, and I got to put. And if you're riding with the right group of guys that are down to clown with you, and they don't give a shit, it works because
sure.
I'm just like, hey guys, and they're like, you got to piss again or what, and you pull off. So again, part of it is just you just got to take that all in as part of the adventure.
Absolutely.
When we went out to Colorado a couple seasons ago, um, part of the adventure was absolutely the fact that we kind of stopped and smelled the roses, and some shit happened on some of those stops that were just great stories. I mean, just great fucking stories.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So,
Yeah, I think that too. Like when you're doing group travel, what my dog's doing here. This is group travel. You also, I mean, part of that planning, you're planning together, but set expectations. Like, hey guys, you know what? Every time we stop for gas, I'm probably going to use the restroom. That's just how I roll. If you know, or hey, listen, every 100, 125 miles, I want to stop. as well. Like set those expectations. If someone's vehemently against it, then try to find a happy medium, or maybe y'all are meant to do this together.
Right.
But be intentional about the communication and be open and honest, and work toward a solution, not demand, not making demands. That's a big part of it as well. And I think that goes to even for, and so the equivalent to that, I think, on a solo trip is really mentally preparing yourself for it. I mean, I've done numerous long trips at this point, and for me, it's just mentally preparing. Um, leading up to it's thinking about just, it's both the 30,000 foot view of looking at it, like, all right, so for the next 5, 7, 8 days, whatever it is, what this is going to take, and telling myself it's okay. If it's one of those trips where I'm staying somewhere different every night, it's okay to not make it to my destination that I want to make it to if I've got an open schedule. That's okay. Like you were saying earlier, hey, it's okay if you decide to camp and you need a night in the motel. That's fine. There's no no shame in that. That's just life. So same thing with trying to hit your goals of destinations in a certain time frame. I certainly did that. A couple summers ago. I mean, I started heading north out of Dallas, and I thought I was going to be in Nebraska that night. I ended up in Lawrence, Kansas, because I wanted to go see a concert that I found. But I didn't beat myself over it. I was still heading in the right direction. And so every morning I would wake up and I'd lay in bed and really think for a few minutes and think about, what's this day going to look like? I have an idea what weather is going to look like, so prepare myself, and just kind of talk through it internally about, and setting expectations and keeping it loose. Because again, man, this is vacation. You know what? Use your PTO, use your time off the way you want to, and there's no reason to beat yourself up over. One day I only rode 300 miles, and that's all I could take. I was wore out. It was windy. The side wind was coming in, and I felt like I hadn't had my V8 that day because I rode 300 miles, leaned to my left so I wouldn't get pushed over to my right, and I was just wore out after 300 miles. I wasn't mad about it. I was ready. I was happy to have some food and go to bed. So,
Right.
I think mental preparation is a big part of it.
Well, and like you said too, you were talking about using MapQuest. The other thing you can do is you can plan out multiple days in Google Maps, right? And that way you can have the different waypoints, or points of interest, or however you want to say, programmed in for multiple days. That works too. Hey, and if you're not a digital like GPS guy, get out a fucking old school map, make some Xerox copies of it.
Rand
Throw those
McNally.
papers in the top of your tank bag, get a dry erase marker, and put your points right on your thing on your tank bag. I mean, you can do that too. There's all kinds of ways to plan a trip. But what I would say to anybody out there that's listening, that's thinking about planning the trip, number one, this is what I would say. If you're looking for a motivator, if you're looking for a cheerleader, if you're looking for somebody to take inspiration from, please do that here. I would implore everyone this coming riding season, if you're riding in a place you can ride all year, fucking that's awesome. If you're not and you're waiting for your riding season to come up, I would implore every one of you to cross state lines this year.
Yeah.
If you have not ever done it, cross state lines this year. Even if you just do I'm going to leave on a Saturday, I'm going to drive out of my state and camp and turn around and drive home. Like, you do the thing, because it will change the way that you think about motorcycling. And maybe, just maybe, you're one of those people that's a weekend rider or a daily rider, and the idea of doing that is just fucking off your radar, right? But do it once to say that you've done it. Do it once to say that you can cross it off your bucket list and you can prove to yourself, yep, I know I'm not a long distance rider. Or you can say, wow, maybe this really changed the way that I think about it. And I know some people are hemmed in by the amount of PTO that they have. That's why I say do it on a Saturday or something like that when you have some time, right? Wait till the summer. Like here in the summertime, it's light out till 9, 10 o'clock at night here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can leave work on a Friday and I can get 300 miles before it turns dark. You know what I mean? Have my bike packed up and leave work at 4 o'clock and hit the road, and I can
or
be
maybe
300 miles down the road.
That's a half day PTO on Friday. You can get on the road
Yeah.
earlier, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of options there, especially if you got a holiday weekend and you can take that
Yep.
Friday and Mondays off, or vice versa.
Yep.
A lot of options there. I agree. I mean, I encourage folks, cross a state line and find that welcome to whatever, and take a picture of your bike in front of it, man. It's a great feeling. I love that.
The other thing that I like to do too is that at the end of my motorcycle trip, like a lot of times my wife or my kids will be home, especially if it's in the summertime because they're all home, and they'll like have the garage open because they know when to expect me, and I roll into the garage. I get off my bike, I take all my shit off, my gear, my helmet, whatever, and I walk away. I don't do anything with my shit that day when I get home from the trip. I go in the house, I take a shower, maybe I bring in my toiletry bag, I take a shower, and the bike's going to sit just like that for the first day.
Gotcha.
I just don't, because I give myself that time to like come home from the trip and then decompress from that. And then I'll unpack my bike. I'll, throw my clothes in the dirty clothes. I'll push it out in the driveway and wash it and get it ready for the next adventure.
Yeah. So I'm kind of a psychopath. I got to unpack right away and put stuff in dirty clothes.
But again, that's because I know myself, right? I think that's really about that part of it, is just like, knowing yourself. To me, that getting home and just like talking to my family, or just coming in and taking a shower and sitting in my recliner and, whatever, it prolongs relaxing.
It prolongs the end of your trip.
It does.
You know, you don't have to end it right then and there.
Yep. So, because then when I'm the next day or whatever, when I'm unpacking my bike or I'm cleaning it, I'm reminiscing. I'm thinking about that adventure I just went on,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And there's Bob and I were talking about this the other day. There's a very different feeling about, I believe everybody should do a solo ride or a solo trip, multi-day solo trip in your lifetime. You should do that because it just hits different. But there's something to be said about a trip shared with someone else, because it's a shared experience that you can relive when you tell stories or talk about that trip with that person. And it's almost like you can take yourself back there. You know what I mean? And that just hits different too.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I mean, that's a way to bond with a friend, or that acquaintance becomes, potentially a friend or close friend when you're able to share experiences like that. That's something I've yet to do. All my trips have been solo, so I have not done a group trip yet, like a long distance group trip. So, and I look forward to it. I'm not against it. Being a single parent with no family here except my daughter, I have to, when I've taken these trips in the past, it's when Sophia's been on vacation with her mom. So I have to, it's hard to, especially in summertime, if we're going to do a family vacation, then we're going to do a week in Tennessee like we always do. So it's then changing the schedule for another week and asking that. And that's a lot to ask. And I don't want to, I need to be fair to my co-parent as well. So yeah, I mean, it's, so it's easier on instances like that to just do it on my own, but it's going to happen. It's going to be fun one of these days.
Yeah, it's all part of the it's all part of the experience, right? The biggest thing is like you said, when you're taking the trip, if you're taking a trip with a bunch of new people, is kind of set some ground rules. One of the things that we did too is we always talked about everybody has a different skill level with riding, and there'd be an occasion where we'd get into some twisties or some whatever, and if there's people in your group that want to ride faster or let them do their thing. It's even important in group rides that you ride your ride. Man, everybody knows where the end destination is. Put it into your fucking GPS, and if they ride away, then meet them there, whatever it is, because or meet them at the next stop or the next gas station. Don't put yourself in a position where you're not safe because people in your group want to ride harder, ride faster, hit the twisties, whatever it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
You still got to ride your ride and be safe. One of the things that we have fully enjoyed is I actually think it's a little bit easier to navigate through busy city traffic with a couple of other people with you, because you're more visible with 3 riders or 2 riders or 4 riders than you are with one.
Mhm.
And if you're in a group of 4 riders, one of the things we found is that cars tend to give you a little bit of a wider berth,
Mm.
because 4 riders is kind of like a quote unquote gang, right? And so people are less apt to try to cut you off or get in between you or whatever when you're in a tighter knit group like that. And you have, the guy in the back can block a lane. I mean, there's all kinds of things. We found the communication headsets to be very, very handy when we are navigating through, bigger cities and in traffic. It's a great tool to be safe and to be successful riding. I mean, one of my friends like kicked the side of a car on the interstate, like an Uber driver that came into traffic and kind of cut into our group, and he like rev bombed and like kicked his leg out on the side of the car because
Nice.
they like just swerved
Yeah.
right into our lane. And
Yeah.
so I mean, you just have to be cognizant, be careful, be aware of the scenario, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I think I think you talk about, your headsets. Like I personally use a Cena, and I use Waze, for traffic, and especially alerting me of police, potential police. I live and die by that sometimes. But that's been really helpful too, because it'll reroute, like a lot. I'm not saying Waze is the best ever. I mean, there's plenty of other ones that'll do this for you, but it'll reroute you. Hey, there's an accident up here, you might want to take, or, reroute you to a quicker route. And if that route makes sense, then
Yep.
yeah, I definitely take it.
And for those of you that don't know, I use Apple Maps a lot. Apple Maps actually has a drop down. So if you're traveling on the road, there's a thing where you can hit your drop down. You can go in and you can tell Apple Maps that there's a cop on the road there.
Yeah.
And then it will alert everybody else around you. And it continues to do that until somebody says that cop is gone. And that's actually a super handy tool. It also does that for accidents. It does that for traffic jams, for construction. So the mapping features in most of these programs are getting better and better and better and better and
Yep.
better.
Yeah. For me, I've used Waze for so long, just got used to it. And I use Apple like around town when I'm not so worried about those things, but going to a part of town I'm not familiar with. But Waze has been really good for me. And it's probably gotten me out of a few tickets along the way too. So I greatly appreciate
Well,
that.
and I think for you, like Waze is great in your area. Like I think Waze works really good for cities and like more congested driving and stuff like that. Waze isn't really super effective for us up here. It's not really necessary either, but because we're just so rural as
Sure.
a general rule. But I would guess in larger areas it's pretty good. I'm a bit of a creature of habit when it comes to things like that, though, and Apple Maps has really never steered me wrong, and so I've been pretty happy with that feature. But some of the guys I ride with, they prefer Google or whatever. But in the long run, it's whatever you're comfortable with. But that it's also very handy too, if you've skipped your last gas stop and all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm using gas, faster than I did before. You can find it. The other thing is if you're in your mod season, so you went into last season and your bike was bone stock and you come into this season, you've put in a cam and you've put on a pipe and you've put in a new air cleaner, you will not get the same gas mileage. So,
but if you
it will change.
If you bought those fancy spoilers from Kurakin or whoever the hell it was, you might actually be getting better gas mileage.
Yeah, that could also increase your downforce and
That's right.
I mean, that
Jesus,
fucking bullshit.
take the wheel. No, I think those are all good points, and I appreciate you sharing some of those. I don't think you can plan enough on especially multiple day trips. For me, it was really, I laid everything out. I lay everything out on my bed, make sure it's going to fit in the bag. I'm a visual person, so I'll lay everything out that I'm going to pack and like, all right, how do I want to pack this group of clothes and shit that I'm bringing with me, right? Something we really hadn't touched upon is like those day trips though. So, especially if you're leading a ride, like around here, we do our Send It Sunday rides. I really appreciate how they really look for, we're not obviously taking the interstate to point A, point B. We're to get to point A to from point A to point B. We're taking the longest route possible within reason, and maybe we're stopping at this covered bridge or whatever, some cool spots that routes we'll take and spots that we'll hit up and stop at. That's always a lot of fun. So, that takes the same amount of planning, because oftentimes on those day trips, maybe you're trying to hit 2 or 3 different spots or take a certain route. So, yeah, hey, I want to, if you're out here, you want to go down to, Southern Illinois and see, the Popeye statue in Chester, Illinois. Maybe you want to go down Bluff Road and take one of the ferries over to, in Illinois, and hop on the ferry and take that back over to St. Genevieve, Missouri, and come back up a different road or something. I think that can potentially take even more planning, because you're trying to, I wouldn't say cram as much stuff in, but what's a good balance of 1, 2, 3 different spots to stop at? Where are you stopping for lunch? That's usually a big thing as well. So that takes Waze or Google Maps or Apple Maps, and I've seen people, and I even used it too, from when I was planning my trip last March. There's a couple different Facebook groups about like roadside attractions and like old gas stations and things like that. So I was thinking of things that would look cool to see, be fun to get a picture of the motorcycle in front of it, whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of different avenues you can go down to find some fun things to do while you're on the road.
Yeah, and if you're heading north south and you come upon the Mississippi River, um, the Mississippi River has a river road that runs all the way along it. Mm-hmm. And I would highly suggest and implore to anybody to hit up a river road if you can. They are very cool. The cities along river roads have a very distinct feeling to them. A lot of them have a very, what I would call coastal city feel to them.
Yeah.
River cities are unique and very cool. Mm-hmm. And definitely something worth doing if you're, if you're doing one of those trips. But
I think you're gonna find that east and west too. Certain places like Paducah, Kentucky, and places like that, where maybe the Tennessee River or Ohio River comes through. There's some really cool one. But up and down the Mississippi, Wisconsin, Iowa, or Minnesota, whatever.
Minnesota, Illinois.
Yeah, Illinois is going to have some really cool spots. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, going up through Grafton and Alton, Illinois, just outside St. Louis, is a lot of fun. Getting south of St. Louis, I prefer the Illinois side on Bluff Road. That's some really cool riding through there, and a lot of fun little farm roads back through there.
Yeah, the Alton Grafton area, been through there a number of times, and it's very cool. Yep. There's a couple of places you can ride a ferry across the river. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of really super cool bridges. And like I said, just take the time. We actually rode the river road up through that Alton Grafton area, headed north, and we ended up in a mining town. Sure. And it was a iron ore mining town.
Yeah.
Super crazy. So it's just a different, always, again, it's just about crossing state lines, right? Taking the road less traveled, that kind of stuff. Take your time, stop and smell the roses.
If you're heading south on the river road down the Mississippi and you're getting into St. Louis, you might want to cross over and you're in Illinois side, cross over to St. Louis. Once you get downtown, you don't really want to go through that part of Illinois. Once you get south of St. Louis there for a few miles, it's Sauget, Illinois. It's a little East St. Louis. know if you've heard, it's a little rough over there. So, but yeah, if you are doing that and you're going to come through St. Louis, let me know. I'm happy to steer you in the right direction for the right amount of money. So just let me know.
Or the wrong direction for the wrong amount of money.
Exactly. I got bike parts to pay or
That's right.
buy, man.
This
Come
shit's
on.
expensive.
That's right.
Well, I think that really hits that hits a lot of the kind of the main points of traveling. Hit us up in the comments below if you guys have anything that you do on your travels that are specific either to your bike or what you like to do when you travel that may be different from some of the things that Luke and I mentioned. Maybe a different program that you use for GPS or trip planning. We're always looking for new suggestions there. Yeah,
any tricks on keeping your luggage dry or what's inside your luggage dry? If you got any tricks up your sleeve, would greatly appreciate that.
If you found any specific gear that you really love to run for different conditions too. I think that's one of the things Luke and I haven't dug into yet is different kind of gear that we would use in different things. So
yeah, we've talked a little bit about gear and parts, but not super in depth on the gear part. Yeah, and I will say one last thing: you can't pack enough garbage bags and like shop at Walmart grocery bags when you're taking these long trips. You never know what you might have to bottle up or
especially
seal
when
up.
you're camping, yeah.
Especially when you're camping or hit rain and got wet clothes, things like that.
Dude,
so.
I know a number of people that have been on a trip in say Arizona, Colorado, Montana, and they didn't bring a suit, but they just decided it was time to jump in a river, and you take your underwear, you wear your underwear in the river, and then you take those bad boys off when you put your pants on. You just throw those underwear in a bag, and that way there's your shit's not getting bad.
The underwear became your gaiter, your neck gaiter. Is that what you?
Yeah, I'm not putting my balls around my neck. Nope, not gonna happen,
buddy. I guarantee you, they don't sag that much where you could. So
I'm just talking about that. My balls resting on my underwear all day long, and then taking that shit off and putting that on my neck. That ain't happening.
Well, stay tuned for our next special release merch. Moto State Podcast.
Special releases, huh?
It's gonna be the big, that's right. It's gonna be the big ball neck gaiter coming at you. It's gonna be amazing with a Taco Bell logo on it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hey guys, if you enjoyed what we do, hit us up on Patreon. If you and that's not free, but that's if you really want to support us more. Join our Discord. That is free. Just get out there, give us a review on where do we need to put all the reviews at, Luke, to make this thing run.
I tell you what, right now we could use a little help. Just full transparency on Apple. Apple's algorithms really want to see people who are following, like subscribing to podcasts and have reviews. So if you've noticed, I've pushed that a little bit lately on social media, and that's why we're just trying to play the algorithm game with these stupid social media and platforms and podcast platforms. So yeah, if you can drop hopefully a 5-star review and subscribe, it would do us a lot of good. We'd really appreciate it, and it would cost you absolutely nothing. So we'd appreciate the help.
Yeah. We do have our merch up for Mama Tried, right?
It is up, and everything's 20% off right now. You got another, not long, a week. Well, by the time this thing airs, it's maybe a week left. So for the sale, Mama Tried merch will be up through the end of February, but we do got t-shirts and hoodies and I think a long sleeve shirt on there with the new teal logo and a special Mama Tried logo on the back. So nice. Grab you one.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate you tuning in as always, and we'll see you next Monday.
Peace. We out.